something?
We'll see.
That's a yes or no question.
Yes.
I want a different story.
No, this is the story that you get.
We can't all be nice girls.
And the Oscar goes to Brie Larson.
The superhero film starring Brie Larson shattered records in its opening weekend.
Higher, further, faster, baby. Heroes. Noble warrior heroes.
We need to be conscious of our bias and do our part to make sure that everyone is in the room.
Hi, I'm Radhika Jones. I'm the editor-in-chief of Vanity Fair. Thank you. And I am thrilled to be here with Academy Award-winning actress, director, and Marvel's newest and I think we can say best superhero. Just among us, among our small group.
Sure, I'll take it.
Brie Larson. It's great to be here with you, Brie.
Thank you. Great to be here with you and all of you. All of you. It's a lot of you. Thank you for supporting women.
You are coming off an incredibly successful movie, Captain Marvel. It's the first Marvel film led by a woman, and last week it passed $1 billion in global sales, which is amazing. And, you know, I think, although we say this, sometimes we say this and it's not true, but I think it has put to bed any doubt that a woman can lead a superhero movie. Let's hope, let's make that be the case. So yeah. I'm curious whether you felt that pressure to deliver. How does it feel to be on the other side of this incredible success?
I'm such an idiot. I didn't feel any pressure at all. I'm serious. I'm not making a joke. I think it's just, I knew going into it, I spent a lot of time thinking about it before I decided to take the role because I'm introverted, desperately introverted, and there's a cost to my job. And to do a film like that is a very big cost, and it means maybe losing things that were going to be important to me, like walking around Central Park. So I'm one of those people that really mulls it over, and then once I make my decision, I'm like all in. So I went all in with it. And I don't feel like pressure for me does anything. I don't think I need it. I don't think that it was going to help me make my mark. I just wanted to do what felt true, and the promise I made myself was that I was going to lead with my heart the whole way and not give up on what I believed needed to be on the screen. It wasn't until, you know, the day before the movie came out that suddenly I was like sitting in my hotel room alone having a day off, and I was like, oh God, that thing everybody has said to me every day of, are you feeling the pressure? I'm feeling it now. And my team was like, it's too late. Like, it's all over, dude. Like, you should have thought of that on the press tour. I don't know, maybe when you were making it. And I realized that we put an unnecessary pressure on ourselves because I didn't feel the pressure because I understand film history and I know that the film industry started with majority women. It started with women filmmakers. So this weird idea that women maybe can't open movies or are not important to storytelling or the female story is not high art is bogus. And I don't want to for a second buy into it. So I'm very grateful to have helped break this glass ceiling of, you know, normalizing the concept that women can also make $1 billion because I don't know why that was so hard to comprehend in the first place. It just seems like we're humans. Whatever. But, you know, if people needed this to be another reminder in this decade, then great. I'm here, I did it.
So one of the things that I loved about the film, which I thank you, by the way, I got to take a little time off work to go see it.
Oh, good.
So that was, is that Carol Danvers, the character you play who becomes Captain Marvel, her strength arrives partly in supernatural ways, but it also has to do with the strength she has as a kid of getting back up after a failure. And you see her over and over in flashbacks, like she gets knocked down and she gets back up again. And you've said about this movie, the very nature of this film means that I'm having conversations that I'd like to have about what it means to be a woman. So let's have that conversation.
Yeah.
What do we get from Captain Marvel about what womanhood is?
Ooh. Well, I think there's a lot of story in the movie, so I feel very careful about talking about specifics with it because society already tells us how we're supposed to think and feel and dress. I am certainly not going to do that for you with a movie. So you can watch it and take for yourself as to what it is that you connect with. But I make films as my way of sending out a message in a bottle. It's my way and my introverted self in a really weird way that seems super extroverted, but it's actually an introverted way of me sharing myself and sharing what I think that human experience is. And I think a huge part in this era right now where we have women stepping forward and trying to fight to take the lead where they should have been already, there's fear. There's a lot of fear right now that if I fail, then it's on behalf of all women. And we are made because of our failures. I am sitting here today because I failed like 1 billion times. I had to audition multiple times a day. I was told no every single day. I was broke like 7 times. It's just how it goes. And the strength that I have and this commitment I have to myself is because of those failures. And so to be able to bring that to the screen was very important because I do feel like press tours in particular, moments like this can become mostly about the success that we've experienced. We sit up here and we're like, look at us, we're amazing. But we're here because of what didn't happen, not because of what happened. When good things happen, we just don't think about it. But when a bad thing happens, we have to sit with ourselves and think about why we're doing it in the first place and how to get better.
So now you have to forgive me because I'm going to ask you about success.
It's fine. I'm happy to talk about success.
You, as we saw in the video, you won an Oscar in 2016 for the role you played in Room. And, you know, 2016 isn't that long ago. You're still very young, but you were very young then. It's such a pinnacle of achievement. And I wondered whether it affected your choices. Was it liberating to have achieved that recognition, or was it scary in any way, or was it just like another day at the office?
I had to get on a plane back to Vietnam like directly after winning, and so I woke up in the middle of nowhere in Vietnam, like like literally looking out at nothing, and I was alone, and I had no Wi-Fi or cell service, and I was like, did that even happen? Was that even real? Did I just dream that? And then I had this sinking feeling that I was still myself, that I didn't feel any different. I didn't feel exceptional. I didn't feel like I was even a better actor. I just felt like I was going to be late for work. Like it was so normal. And so when I got to work and was able to connect to our like little like Wi-Fi thing in one spot, I was able to text with Jen Lawrence, and I said, like, I feel the same. I'm scared. Like, is this okay? And she was like, dude, this is like getting your PhD. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, doctors still make mistakes. It's not like once you get your PhD, you just cruise and never make a mistake ever again. This is how it goes. So take it as a pat on the back. You're basically like got your diploma, which was exciting for me because I didn't go to college. And that was kind of it. And I found it to be freeing in a way to understand that hitting that thing, that sort of dangling carrot that's been in my industry and was something I watched as a kid, it didn't change me personally. It certainly helped my industry's understanding of who I am, but it didn't change how I felt about myself.
So,
Cool.
One of the things that you've been doing in the industry now, in addition to your acting, is that you've been using your platform to speak out about a lack of diversity in film media. And this is something as an editor that I think a lot about. Obviously, it's my job I consider it my job to make sure that we are bringing a wide variety of voices to the work that we do, photographers, you know, every image that we make, every piece of writing, we need to represent a lot of different perspectives. But this is a new thing for you, and I just wondered how it came to your attention and how whether you feel you're able to make some changes in that area.
Sure, and you've done an amazing job.
Oh, thank you.
It's been very exciting.
It's rewarding.
Yeah. I'm kind of a sit back and observe person, and I'm always thinking, and I'm usually trying to figure out why. I feel like an alien on the planet sometimes. Like I'm constantly like, why do we do this? Like, why do we all wait in line? Like, what does this mean? And so, my mind wanders a lot, and I started noticing, because the press days are actually, for me, the time when I get to talk about the movie. I don't talk about it any other time. And I make things so that they can spark discussions. I don't make them so that people can be like, wow, look at your face. It's like, I don't care. I wish my face couldn't be on the screen. I do it because of the content and because I want to see what it stirs in you. And because my opportunity to do that is with the press, I started noticing that I was getting only like a select groups of people. And I was curious what it would be like to have a more intersectional, diverse conversation. But I was curious if it was just my experience, because who knows what's happening behind the scenes, or if this was a larger thing. So I spoke with Stacy Smith at the USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, and she did a little study and was able to find that the numbers were kind of sad when it came to what kind of diversity was happening. And so we were able to get a little bit of a plan as to how we bring more seats up to the table. And it's important, I think, for me to state that no one's losing a chair. We're just adding more chairs. And that meant for me taking more time on my press days, adding more hours to my day to make sure all those voices were in, because I'm not trying to exclude anyone. The importance is to lift up more voices. And then it sort of spiraled from there, and I realized that there were so many other ways that I could do this, whether it was trying to reach parity with the female to male designers that I wore, making sure that I had people of color, behind the camera as well, doing photos for magazine shoots. Like, it just sort of spiraled from there into this thing where it opened this new world for me, and I had such an incredible time on this press tour because of it.
It's great that you're feeling the impact of that, like that it's a real thing. I mean, we live in such a moment of change and disruption, particularly in Hollywood, and to hear that, that through your work you're able to make that change is phenomenal. I want to ask you a little bit about how this all began. You were born in Sacramento, and the legend of Captain Bree is that
there's a legend.
When you were 6, you decided you wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That is true. Yeah.
And now I want to say that my son is 4.5, and he wants to be an astronaut. But I am not moving to Houston. But you convinced your mother to move to Hollywood.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
It was the best. It was the best. I mean, being a kid is the best. And I don't know what my mom did behind the scenes, because she was a single parent, but she made that single mom magic happen, because I felt like I had her all to myself. It was just me and my mom and my sister. She would take me to auditions all day. And I basically had, for the most part, uninterrupted time with her and my sister for like 10 years until, she bought me a car, and I was like, okay, I get the hint. Like, you want your own radio, I understand. Like, you're tired of listening to No Doubt over and over again. So, and then I was sort of on my own. I mean, she was, of course, very involved, but I'm very grateful to her, because it was a huge amount of dedication on a dream, on just like a concept of something that is truly seemingly impossible.
And how is it that you knew that? I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
I don't know. I mean, I'm also the person that, like, don't take me to a restaurant with too long a menu, because we'll never order. Like, I can't make a decision to save my life. But for some reason, like, the intuition of a child is quite pure, and so it makes me emotional when I think about the fact that there is this, like, 7-year-old inside of me that led me to this point in my life. And it's part of why I've been very careful about the film choices that I make, and they all have something to do with some sense of nostalgia or stirring or connecting with that inner child inside of us, because I feel like that's been the thing that's guided me my whole life.
And then you really came of age in the industry. So I think we have a picture of teen Bree. It's in the public record.
Yeah,
that's
about right.
We're going to spend the rest of our session talking about this picture.
Can you just keep that up for the rest of it? So anything important I say, you just have that behind me?
Was it hard to navigate this industry as a teenager? It was such a vulnerable time, or did you kind of take it in stride?
I don't know any different, and I was homeschooled, so I'm not sure how it really compares to the, junior high, high school experience. But for me, I felt like it actually became a positive in that I had to learn pretty quickly to choose myself. It didn't take me that long to figure out that it was sort of a ridiculous situation that I was placed in, where I was being asked to come in and basically read a dude's mind as to how I was supposed to dress and act to be his dream girl. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if you want to tell me, maybe I have the clothes in my closet, but like, don't make me buy a jean miniskirt for you. And it usually very quickly turned into what their idea was of confidence and not what my own idea of confidence was. And that's where I felt like there was always a discord. Like, you can't tell me how to dress and then expect me to act a certain way. We have to have a dialogue and a conversation. And it's also the beginning of where I started to make my own shorts and make my own things, because I needed to have an outlet that made me feel like I was in control and that I was exploring myself and having an understanding of what my experience was, rather than having people dictate it to me.
So were you surprised by the revelations of the Me Too movement, or did you see that coming?
Oh, I don't see anything coming. I was so grateful for the strength, and I've continued to be grateful for that strength, because it has created this tidal wave of conversation that I don't feel like has stopped or will stop anytime soon. It, across industry, changed things, and it certainly changed my industry. We still, of course, have a long way to go, but it without a doubt is the reason why we have this historic shift, is because of the bravery of the men and women who came forward and spoke up about the abuse that they were experiencing.
One of the other things that has come out of that movement is a lot of conversation around pay, equity, and it's been part of the conversation around Captain Marvel that your salary set a new precedent, which is fantastic. And I know that you're very vocal about advocating for yourself, and I wondered if you would talk a little bit about that. And also, you're not always the person at the negotiating table, obviously. You probably aren't. How do you make sure that your representatives are working with you and carrying your conviction to the table?
Well, I'm very curious, so I ask a lot of questions of my lawyer, and he says that I've always got a job working for him if the acting thing doesn't work out. Money is actually something I'm very excited to talk about here, and I'm excited to talk about in general, because it's this thing that people think is super icky, and that's the trap. The trap is they make you feel icky about it so that you don't ask for what you deserve, because you know what that number is inside. Yeah. And the thing that I want to bring up, and I'm not sure how this works in other industries, but maybe there's people out there in my industry as well, but the reason why I was able to get the quote that I have now, or the payment that I got for the movie, a lot of it had to do with the women that came before me. Lawyers use that as a comparison. They say, well, this person got this, so that this precedent has been set. So we've been playing kind of this game of Uno, which maybe that's a weird pun or metaphor to use, but I don't know, that's what I see in my head. We've been playing this, everybody's sort of building it up, and I'm just the next step in that, and then we'll just keep going. So when women talk to me about this, I say, don't even do it for you if that makes you feel weird right now. Do it for the women that are going to come after you. Do it for the next one. Do it for the future you, because you are helping. And if that can give you a little bit more of a stir and a fight, then do it. We need you.
I think we have time for one more question, and it has to do with your new career. Not working for your lawyer, but you just, Netflix just premiered your first feature as a director.
Yes.
It's called Unicorn Store, and it's adorable. It's been called a love letter to everyone's inner child, which now, speaking to you, I understand even more how potent that is. And I just wondered, what was that like? That's a big first-time experience in an industry that you know well. What was it like to direct?
I loved it. I mean, it was the most fun I've had, and I'd had in so long on a set. I just felt joy. I mean, the film is quite joyful, so it was nice to take a break from the dramatic roles that I had been turning out for a couple years, because I don't know why. I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. But it was wonderful. And once again, it was part of my courage in doing it was not necessarily that I was like, hey, everybody, like, you got to see what I can do. I was just like, we have to break these boundaries. And if I'm the one that's even the one directing a film as a female and it's bad, at least it's like, okay, that's over with. Who's next? Like, we just have to, I feel like if I have any sort of privilege, I immediately want to spend it. You know, whatever that currency is, I'm spending it immediately. I'm not going to hold on to it and hope that, you know, I put it in some account and it makes more money. I want to spend it because we need the change now. And I'm really not afraid of falling on my face because I've done it my whole life. So I'm just kind of like, bring it.
And directing Samuel L. Jackson, easy, hard?
It's super important, I think. And I will leave you with this because he's someone that certain directors have a hard time with because he'll come to set with a very specific point of view. And sometimes directors will come in and go, hey, can you maybe like try it more like this? And you will get a full TED Talk as to why you're wrong. And you'll realize that he spent months thinking about this character, thought about it every way through, and he's right. So when I directed him, I was like, you're right. Whatever you want is right. And just don't argue. Just know that he's right. And he is right. And so I moved forward from that being like, I want myself and more people to walk around going, I'm right. Just know that I'm right. Just trust that I'm right. I'm definitely right. If we had that, I feel like we would be moving a little bit quicker.
Thank you, Brie. I think I think Brie Larson can save the world. So we solved it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.